All right, big news for the Seminoles today as they flip a 3-star interior offensive lineman from FIU, Chavez, SANDMAN, Thompson. He might be a 3-star on the composite, but he is absolutely a 5-star when you consider how good of a name SANDMAN Thompson truly is. Out of Cocoa, Florida, he also wrestles for them and was on a district champion. He was a district champion on the mat as a 10th grader. He's worked all over the offensive line. He worked primarily as a tackle as a freshman. As he's kind of filled out a little bit, he's started more on the inside. He's played both guard positions, and he starts at center for his high school now, or in this last year. I do think that he projects very much as a center for Florida State. And the importance of that position cannot be understated. And we've tried some different things there at that position over the last several years, sliding guys over, getting guys to try and play that position, guys playing out of position because we just needed somebody that could snap. Obviously, a big deal to lock in a piece that you feel confident in. And whether it's a piece that starts for you quickly or a depth piece, you have to have guys that you feel confident handling the ball every single play. And I do think that SANDMAN is that for Florida State. Obviously, a pretty good job by Florida State here to flip a recruit that is committed elsewhere. Let's not, we're not going to big this up and act like you shouldn't flip guys from FIU. If that is your goal, if that is your target, you should win those battles every single time. And in a very condensed recruiting period where Coach Hand has been on campus for a month, right? And had to do a lot of things in that month. Learn the guys in the room now, recruit an entire brand new offensive line for the upcoming season out of the portal, recruit high school guys, try and get guys signed, try and get them in the class. Yeah, obviously you get some grace, right? In what you kind of bring in, what you're flipping, what this, that, and the other, you get a little bit of grace. And honestly, if he didn't flip any or have any high school recruits in this class, nobody's going to be jumping off of the window or out of the ledge because of that. However, being able to get some guys in the class and being able to flip a SANDMAN Thompson from FIU and get him into your class, somebody that he was recruiting at UCF, is a big deal. We will see what the full results of his hiring are from a recruiting and on-field perspective as the year goes along. But in the month that he's been on campus, I've been pretty pleased with the results. Bringing an offensive lineman over from UCF, grabbing a couple of tackles out of the SEC, getting an interior guy from Wake. I like so far what you've seen there, and this just adds to it. SANDMAN is certainly a physical and aggressive offensive lineman, which is what you want to see. I don't necessarily think he's a day one guy. I'm not going to pretend to you to think that he's going to come in here and compete for a spot. Maybe not even next year, certainly not in 25, but maybe not even in 26. I think it could take some time for him to develop. But I think a guy that if he's in your program for a couple of years and he's learning under Coach Hand and he's bought into the system and he's learning under Coach Storms, a guy that could certainly play for you down the road. You obviously have to take as many offensive linemen as you can every year and see what works, see what sticks. We've had guys that were 3-stars come in and start for us at sometimes this year. And then we've had guys that we thought were going to be great because they were high 4-stars and they haven't seen the field yet, right? Or at least not any meaningful snaps. And so I do think offensive line is one of the hardest positions to project. It is so much about how much they continue to develop when they get in school and they get to playing for FSU. So I think this is a big ask to see, okay, where could you develop him to? Obviously, Florida State identified the need here, moved very quickly. Offensive line has to continue to be a major focus for the Noles. It was so bad last year that as much as we want to get on DJ or Brock or Luke for their play, the offensive line, it's almost like the tires on the car, right? And it doesn't matter who's driving or what the engine is or anything else. If the tires are flat, and in Florida State's case this year, I don't even know that they were on the car, none of the pieces around it matter, right? You're just not going anywhere. And so a major emphasis, you've seen that through both the portal and their high school recruiting here, that the limited amount that Coach Hand has done since he's been on campus, there is such a huge emphasis on that offensive line. And I like the moves that they've made so far. How good are they? I don't know, man. A lot of this you're going to have to find out in the fall. A lot of this you're going to have to find out down the road when some of these offensive line recruits in the 25 class are actually out on the field for you. But you have to like the start and the emphasis that's placed on this. Obviously, Coach Atkins wasn't great with development in his last couple of years here. The offensive line was maybe the worst position group on the field, but recruiting, bringing guys in was one of the stronger suits that he had, and one of the stronger aspects of recruiting was the offensive line over the last couple of years. And so it'll be interesting to see how Coach Hand is able to continue that. Is he able to even improve upon that himself? When we spoke with Clay Fink of Noles 24/7, he had some optimism that there wouldn't be much of a drop-off in recruiting, but that we would get a pretty strong development out of Coach Hand at that position. The relationships with Gus and Herb that kind of predated FSU were big here. And it's a big deal that they continued on with those relationships and kept recruiting him, right? And, you can be as excited or not as excited as you want to flip a kid from FIU, but every coach on this staff is very aware of what is needed to be done to turn this thing around. Whether or not they get it there, proof will be in the pudding. But I do think that, if this is kind of what they're hooking their wagon to, I'm excited to see what they can do when players like SANDMAN Thompson get into the program and begin to develop. So we'll see what happens. We'll see kind of where things go from here in recruiting, but a win for the Seminoles today as they add to the 2025 class with SANDMAN Thompson on the interior of the offensive line. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. Go Noles.